Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name's Deshaun, and today I'm here to make a video about something that has been bothering me for quite some time. Now the year's wrapping up, and the last Marvel movie was Spider-Man Far From Home. And since Spider-Man Far From Home, there has been a lot of crap going on. You know, first Spider-Man was out of the MCU, now he's back in the MCU with caveats. Maybe we're only gonna get him for one more movie, and then he's gonna go out and hang out with Venom, which, you know me, I didn't really enjoy the Venom movie at all, so I got conflicting feelings on that. So, the Spider-Man is all over the place, but one of the biggest things that I've always been bothered by is some of the criticisms of Marvel's version of Spider-Man. Like, the idea that certain people can legitimately be upset at first of all, the fact that Aunt May isn't old. Or the fact that he has friends and he has a group of friends and he's interactive. Or the fact that he has a mentor in Iron Man, so a lot of people like to call him Iron Man Jr. Or the fact that he isn't like shit, that he's not living really super broke. Or the fact that at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, he's probably not going to be working at like the Daily Bugle. Because the Daily Bugle is something different now. It's the dailybugle.net, which means it's different. Which maybe he will work there, but it'll just be different. It won't be like the Daily Bugle that we are accustomed to. Or the fact that he has too much technology in his array of things that he does. And like there's many things that people kind of bitch about the new version of Spider-Man, which kind of baffles me. Or the fact that they don't show Uncle Ben's death, or they don't even go into Uncle Ben's death. It's kind of a baffling thing to me, because one of the things we've religiously bitched about and complained about is having to see Batman's mom and dad die over and over again. To count, every single time I've seen Batman on screen, you've almost seen his family's death. In fact, it was reported not that long ago that they are filming the parents' death right now for the new Batman movie. You just saw Batman's parents die in The Joker. You saw Batman's parents die in BVS. You saw Batman's parents die in the Batman Begins. You've seen it redone again many times. You've seen it done in animated form. You've seen it done in live action. You've seen the death of Batman's parents 50 billion times, and we get it. And one of the things when Marvel was getting their hands on Spider-Man and people started saying, oh well, I hope they don't do this, is I hope they don't go through the origin story again, and I hope that we don't have to see it. And then they did it, and then people complained that they didn't show it, and it was kind of a baffling thing. It was kind of like a mind-blowing thing to hear when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, and one of the complaints was that they didn't show, not only did not show Uncle Ben's death, but they didn't get deep into it and have him be super emotional about it. And that's kind of been one of the bigger complaints from a lot of Spider-Man people in general. Like, I've gotten in arguments with people in chat boards that they think that they hate this version of Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because he's not emotional enough, because he's not crying, because he's not crying every 5 seconds, he's not over dramatically emotional about Uncle Ben's death that happened what it feels like had to have been years ago, that they're too fun and comedical. And I'm just like, dude, have you seen Spider-Man? My version of Spider-Man, the one that I've kind of built my thoughts on Spider-Man around, is the 90s cartoon Spider-Man. The 1990, I believe it's the 1995 Spider-Man cartoon. And in that version, Spider-Man was emotional when it came up, but for the most part, he was a funny, lighthearted guy who tried to keep everything lighthearted around him and try to keep it light around other people. And he did look up to the Fantastic Four, to the Avengers, to the Defenders. Like, he looked up to these bigger beings. And I thought to myself, like, yes, this is in line with him. This is like him if he was younger, because in the cartoon he was like in college, but this is him if he was younger. And the thing is, the Marvel Cinematic Universe works together in unison. It's how it works. It's how it's lasted this long. It's how it's gonna last even longer. It's because it works together in unison. And the thing is, I've never got the Iron Man Jr. thing. That always bothers me whenever I see someone say it. I'm just like, that's kind of ridiculous, just because he has technology. Because the thing is, Spider-Man was Spider-Man before he met Iron Man. He created his web fluid. He created a web shooter. He created a suit. It's just that all of it was kind of shitty looking because he was broke. And all Iron Man did was upgrade him. And I've always fought back in Spider-Man Homecoming, because I've always said that he wasn't supposed to be able to have all that technology. Well, he wasn't supposed to have access to all that stuff. Like if the first hour of the movie, or maybe 40 minutes of the movie, it's just a suit. It's just a suit. It's just a suit. He has it's just a suit, and he just has access to the web shooters. He hacked it and got access to a bunch of other shit that he was not supposed to have access to. So that's why I always kind of push back on the whole spider suit and, oh, it's an Iron Man suit. I'm like, no. It's his fault. In story, it's his fault. Because, like, and the thing is, I was definitely looking at I'm trying to analyze an analyst video that was talking about Spider-Man and talking about how him being in the MCU and him knowing Iron Man fundamentally changes the makeup of how that character is supposed to work. And that is true. And I wanted to talk about this in a video for a little bit now is I think people are having a hard time letting go of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, letting go of that idea of him having to be broke and live in a shitty apartment and barely able to pay his rent on time and working for a shitty pizzeria and getting fired from Daily Bugle. None of that quite makes sense. All of that makes sense when you're the only character in a universe by yourself. In the real world, if Spider-Man knows Iron Man and Captain America and the Avengers, he would never truly be broke. He would never truly be in a dire strait. And plus, he's a genius. So he would be going to, like, major schools and getting grants and shit. Like, he would never be really that broke. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't be, like especially now. And the thing is, he wouldn't be a nerd either. He wouldn't be a dork or a nerd either, because that shit, it doesn't really work like that anymore. Especially since they already pretty much established that, like, oh, well, like, it doesn't really work like that anymore. Like the time period where Spider-Man was created, maybe it did work like that. If you were a smart kid, you were instantly labeled as a dork or a nerd. But today, if you're a smart kid, man, you're running businesses and companies. So that doesn't even work the same. Marvel updated Spider-Man, and people are having a hard time dealing with the update, because, like I said, it makes perfect sense. He should not be struggling he shouldn't be struggling, considering how smart he is and considering who he knows. In fact, I've always thought in the comics that it's a bit ridiculous that he would have to even work at a pizzeria when he's on a first name basis with Iron Man, and he can literally just ask him for a job. Or he could go ask Reed Richards if he needs to. Like, they know each other. They've worked together. Reed and Iron Man know how smart Peter is. Just ask him for a job. I've always thought that was a bit ridiculous. So yeah, it makes sense that he would never really be dealing with struggle. Like the same kind of struggle. But the thing Marvel kept, because they were like, this stuff doesn't make sense in this situation, but the thing they kept is his inner conflict. One of the most Spider-Man-like things I've ever seen in a movie is when he's sitting on that rooftop in Homecoming, and he's looking at Liz and everyone else playing in the pool, and part of him wants to just go play in the pool. He doesn't have to do this, which is another thing too. A part of him wants to just play in the pool, but he feels like it's his responsibility. It's his responsibility to go and do the right thing. And he sacrifices what he wants for what he must do. And he constantly does that throughout the movie. Some people say Spider-Man Homecoming has no consequences. I beg to differ. All it is consequence. Because when you really sit back and think about it, he was in love with Liz, and maybe it was just a sweet little high school love thing, but he was really in love with Liz. And he sacrificed that love. Think about it. Vulture wasn't killing anyone. Vulture wasn't, like, the things that Vulture had a point. Tony Stark did screw him over. Vulture's crimes weren't to take over the world, weren't to destroy the city. He was selling weaponry. Peter could have let it go. No one would have known. No one would have known that Peter let him go, except for Peter. But instead of doing something in his best interest, going on this date with Liz, just letting it go, maybe no one else might ask questions. Don't want to ask questions. No one even knows about this but me. He does the right thing. And in the process, he puts he robs a daughter of her father and a mom of her husband. He makes Liz's life a living hell, and she has to move to another state just to get away from, what her father has done. And he did that. That's what he lost. That's what he sacrificed. He ruined a girl's life by doing the right thing. And that's just, like I said, Marvel captured the essence of it. That's the thing. That's the most important thing, is the essence. People get looking at the most shallow things. Oh, he's got this technology. Like, look at the essence of it. Awesome. He's got this technology. But does it change the character himself? He's still Peter Parker. He's still scrappy. He's still the underdog. He still is struggling to get by. And both Far From Home and Homecoming, he's still the scrappy underdog, even with all the technology. Far From Home especially, like, the thing is, I think that they added a different bit of layers to the Spider-Man character in the MCU by making him the mentee of Iron Man, by making him this kid that Iron Man brought under his wing, because it adds like this extra, like it adds an extra element of legacy to him. It's like, he's not just Spider-Man, he's the legacy of Iron Man. Like, he's the one who Iron Man took under his wing, which is not that bad thing. Like, some people are freaking out over the fact that him and Iron Man have such a close relationship. Dude, it's not that big of a deal. He's still Spider-Man. Just because he has a close relationship with another hero doesn't mean anything. He's still awesome. He's still Spider-Man. And it just amazingly bothered me. It's always bothered me. It's gotten on my nerves. I'm tired of people talking to call him Iron Man Jr. He's not Iron Man Jr. He's Spider-Man. He has his own origin. He has his own way of doing things. He has his own thought process. He just had a great mentor. And the thing is, and I will end it with this. It kind of bugs the fuck out of me how people do this with Marvel. How they'll say, we want something different, and then Marvel will give you something different, and then you'll bitch that you want the old thing. So guess what? You can't call, if you have a problem with Spider-Man, don't ever fucking say that you want something different, because you really don't want something different. You want what you want. You don't want something different, you want what you want. So don't say that about Marvel anymore unless you're gonna actually be on board when they actually do something different, because this version of Spider-Man is totally different than the other versions of Spider-Man. Completely different than the other versions of Spider-Man. And I am down for this new version of Spider-Man. This is a Spider-Man for a new generation, and I think some people just need to get over the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Those movies came out 20 fucking years ago almost now. They're old news. It came, it went, get over it, alright, man? Organic webs suck. Thank you guys for joining me on the Comic Gaming Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe. See you in the next one.